Salvation. What is to be saved? What is to not lose your soul? What really is to free your spirit? If you live in Western society, United States, Puerto Rico, Latin America, or a Western society based country, maybe Spain or stuff like that, you probably are very, very used to think and to desire salvation for your soul. This is our basic religious propaganda. The church, the Bible, the media, your aunt, your mother, your grandfather. Basically, most people have been telling you you need to be saved. You are not gonna be saved. Sometimes they tell you this for inspiration, like if you do this, you will be saved. Sometimes they tell you this as a fear instrument or as a manipulation. Like if you don't go to the church, you are not going to be saved. But what really is this? And one of the most interesting things is that a lot of different religions have this thing about salvation. This is not only something that pertains to Christianity, but also Judaism, Islam, Buddhism sometimes, and a lot of others religions talk about this concept of salvation. What is it? It is important. It is something that you should be aspiring as a personal development junkie. It is salvation a tool for personal development. Is this a state of mind, a state of consciousness? Is this something that you can reach through meditation? Is this something important? What do you think? Well, I think that is not only important, I think it's cosmically important. It's so important that we are going to dedicate a whole episode, a full hour probably, to discussing, deconstructing, and integrating in our mind and souls this concept or idea of salvation. So, ladies and gentlemen, open your hearts, open your souls, open your mind, that you are about to go in a journey. What is the destination? Ladies and gentlemen, the destination is salvation. And welcome, baby, to the most salvation podcast in the multiverse. This is, you know what this is, the Mastermind Podcast Challenge. See. Season 2 with your host, the Papacito of Puerto Rico. I want to do the cha-cha dance right now in the Puerto Rico part, the cha-cha dance. Oh, that is so difficult for me. It's like trying to move and vibrate in your shoulders, the cha-cha, but I cannot do it because I am balancing myself right now in a medicine ball. This is basically my chair as a medicine ball, and it's so difficult to do the cha-cha. I don't know even if this is the cha-cha. It is called the cha-cha? Let me know in the comments. I don't know. The Papacito of Puerto Rico. Oh man, I'm trying to do this new movement. Your favorite doctor of all time, Dr. Derek Israel. And this is the episode 612. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go right into this episode of today. Let me tell you something about this episode structure. So the first thing that I want to say is that it's a very integrative episode. And by that, I refer or I mean that a lot of the ideas that I will be discussing today, I already dedicated a full episode to those ideas during the challenge or during the podcast. But this episode will serve as an integration of those ideas. So I think it's going to be like a meta episode, something that goes beyond, like a meta meaning for you. So if you have been disciplined with this podcast and this challenge, you will have a solid, not only a solid base for the podcast of today, but you will have a very supernatural effect because all the ideas that you already gathered, they are going to combine in a very powerful spiritual constellation, and you will reap the effects. You will basically enjoy the effects of your sacrifice, of the hours that you have put into this work. Now, if you haven't watched all the episode, you can still watch it. I will do my best to make this episode to stand alone. And by that, I mean that I will do my best for this episode to be understandable only within this episode. But you have a task, you have an assignment. Make sure that every time that I refer an episode, take a note of the name and go then and kill them one by one. Go and listen to them. Most of these episodes that I will be referring, I think all of them are in English. So if you're an English speaker only, no problem. You will be able to understand them, and you will basically enjoy the exponential effect after you've finalized this whole marathon, because you cannot expect to understand a very profound idea just in 1 hour. Like this is a whole work that I have been doing, and the thing that I like about this episode is that it's an integration. Okay, it's something that will make everything make sense, because for example, one of the episodes is Christ consciousness, another is God mode, another is what is to sin, another is the real nature of hell. But those episodes are kind of isolated. This episode will bring them all together in a very beautiful perspective. Another thing that I want to say about the structure of this episode is that the first points are going to be trying to explain to you the real metaphysics of what is to be saved or what is salvation. And then I will give you powerful secrets at the end of the podcast, kind of a bullet like type of list. Powerful secrets to achieve, or to, how can I say this? Or to walk your way through salvation. Okay? So that is the structure. So let's begin right now. The first thing and the most important thing that you need to know about salvation is this. Hey, Hey, come on, give me your focus. Maybe you don't finish this podcast, maybe you get distracted, but if you get this idea, if you get this idea, oh boy, you know, your life will change. And it's not about understanding the idea intellectually. We all know, we both know that you are capable of that. You are an intelligent person. But it's more than that. It's understanding this idea spiritually, experientially. And in that dimension, you need to put the work, huh? So here is the idea. Salvation is enlightenment. That's it. Salvation is enlightenment, illumination. Another word can be awakening. Salvation is the word that Islam, Christianity, Judaism refer to when basically you transcend your ego and become one with everything, become one with God. You see, when you first study religions, different religions, you think that this is kind of a royal rumble of religions. Every religion have their own ideas, every religion has their own paradigms, every religion has their own gods and their own ultimate value or ultimate objective. But that's just the first step when you are kind of a noob studying religions and practicing spirituality. But what you quickly notice, if you are very disciplined in your discovery and in your exploration, is that all religions are just one religion. All the gods are just one God. And they are all different ways, different languages of saying the same thing. It's kind of music. You know, music is God, but music have different songs. You cannot only say Imagine of John Lennon is music. Well, yes, it is music, but also Billie Jeans of Michael Jackson and also Estamos Bien of Bad Bunny, those are music as well. They are different songs that compose the ultimate value of the transcendental experience. In this case, music. Or more than that, beauty with capital B, beauty. Well, every religion is a song, but they are pointing to the same music, to the same beauty. So some of you like tango. I don't know, tango is a music. Maybe tango is a dance. Let's say some of you like electronic music. Some of you prefer rock and roll. Some of you prefer, I don't know, um, reggaeton or trap or hip hop. But those are just different types of genres of songs, different types of music, but they are all music. Well, this is what is going on with religions. They are all trying to explain the numinous, the light, the transcendent factor, the primordial Om, the king of the cosmos, the father, the mother, God, the multiverse in just a grain of sand, the primal point, consciousness, love. So they put different words, different concepts, and different methodologies for achieving that. but it's the same. The that is the same. So in Buddhism and Hinduism, they call this enlightenment, awakening. When you finally open your spirit and your mind so much, so much, so much that you are finally one with God. You are awake. You are in nirvana. You are in supreme consciousness. You are not there anymore. You died. Exactly as Christ died, you die. You as an ego, you are gone. And when your ego is gone, you are everywhere. You are one with everything. So that's why you can be so compassionate. That's why you can be so lovable. That's why you can be so wise. Because you are not you anymore. You as a you is a limitation. You as a God is an infinity. So salvation is infinity. Salvation is to be enlightened, to be saved, to be one with everything, to finally realize your true origin, to come back home. What is home? The primordial state of your consciousness, a unifying consciousness, a singular consciousness, a non dual, non splitted, not fragmented consciousness, the center that is nowhere. That is salvation. It is the same as awakening, but in another term. Do you understand this now? So when you're reading the Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, or you're reading the Quran, I want you to understand that because when you are reading those things, you are thinking, okay, if I'm saved, I'm gonna be on heaven. That is for you what it means. But you never question what is heaven. And for you, heaven is a place. But heaven is not a place. Heaven is a state. And I will discuss this in one of the other points. It's a state of consciousness. You can be in heaven right now. You don't need to wait to die physically to be on heaven. You can be on heaven right now, alive, if you choose to be one with everything. This is heaven, you see. So I want you to start reading the Bible and the Quran and other religious texts. And every time that you're reading that word, salvation or to be saved, that metaphor, remember, this is a metaphor. I want you to turn on this knowledge that I am sharing with you. And to recontextualize what it means, salvation. And trust me, your whole world will make much sense, more sense. Because this is the thing, and that's why a lot of young people, if you are 18 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, they do not connect sometimes with religions because the words and the concepts of religions are so separated from their true meaning nowadays that you read them and you're like, what the hell is this? You don't find the meaning. And if you don't find the meaning, the psychomythology, the mythologic function of your psyche do not get activated. And for more on this, go to my episode called Live Mythopoetically or Do Not Live at All. That is the title. So if your mythology Your psychomythology is not activated. You are living a profane life, a mundane life without meaning, without spermatica, without the spiritual sperm, without the spiritual germ, without the spiritual beauty. So reading a Bible is stupid and meaningless for these people because no one tell them, no one showed them the real meaning of these words. And if you don't meditate profoundly, you never discover this. But how you will meditate profoundly if the books itself or themselves, those books, they don't inspire you. You don't trust them. You think that they are full of shit, you know? So I hope with this podcast that you will become a teacher with young people and you will teach them about these concepts in your life. So salvation is enlightenment. But what is enlightenment and also what are the components of it? So look at these other points. So salvation in a nutshell or enlightenment is to transcend your ego. And more on this, you should go to an episode that is called um is something about the opponent. I don't remember exactly how I titled. Meet your opponent, something like that. Just search Mastermind Podcast opponent and see if you can find that episode. It's a very important because your ego, aka Satan, aka Seth, aka Mara, is always the same representation. Is the you that is solidified, is the you that is so limited, that is basically not saved. It's not awake. It is on the unconscious. It is dreaming. It is sleeping. That is the metaphors. If you transcend that part of yourself, you are saved. So your ego is all the things that you get identified with: your home, your town, your biography, your values, your attachments, your lust, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. And of course, if I tell you, man, you need to transcend this to be saved, most people, what they will say, what? Forget about it. I prefer to not be saved. I don't want to transcend my girlfriend. I don't want to transcend going to parties every night and drinking my beer. Forget about that. Well, that's exactly what you need to transcend. I'm not telling you that you need to stop doing everything that you like, but you cannot depend on those if you really want to be saved. For example, if you go out every Friday and drink 2 beers, only 2 beers per week, every Friday, and you say, Derek, I can be saved and also drink these 2 beers. But notice every time that you go and drink those 2 beers, you are a slave. You are a slave of your vice. You are a slave of your habits. You are a slave of your routines. You are a slave of a substance, alcohol. So you are not really saved. To be really saved, you need to purify everything in your life. And this is where it comes very difficult. And that's why to be saved is a process. A lot of people think that salvation is a result. I'm saved. Voila, I'm saved. No, it's a process. It's a ongoing forever process. It's a war against your ego. Your ego is in one part of the spectrum and salvation is in the other part. If you go and identify yourself more with the ego, you are less saved. If you transcend your ego and identify yourself with everything, with the transcendental, you are saved or more saved. So this is the thing that most people, they don't like this idea. And that's why a lot of people are religious, but they are hypocrites. They only follow a certain part of the religion, but not every part, you know, only the part that they can handle. Can you see this? The part that their ego cannot handle, they don't follow. And they justify this. Well, this is another era, this is modern times. Drinking a couple of beers is not that bad. Hey, this may be a good for your health. I read an article, the blah, 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 blah. Hey, even Jesus drank wine. They justify their sin. They justify their shortcomings. That is ego. That is attachment. That is the devil. That is the opponent. You are always fighting against the opponent. Who is the opponent? It's not the government. It's not the church. It's not your mother-in-law. Well, maybe. It is not Democrats or Republicans or Christians or Russia or Ukraine. It is the opponent is yourself, dude. Yourself. Your ego. And I'm not asking you that you should follow perfectly the rules of a religion. I'm asking you to be integrous with whatever you are going to follow. And if you are going to do something partially, at least acknowledge that you are doing that partially. And become very conscious of your shortcoming. Do not deny the shortcoming. I am not perfect. I still eat pizza. I still, but what are other things I do bad? Um, I don't know. I still eat pizza. Come on, Derek. Sometimes I get very angry with my wife and I say things that I don't need to say. Sometimes I am not the best father. Sometimes I do not dedicate enough time to my daughter. I know I am not perfect, but what I'm trying to do is to become very conscious, very, very conscious of my shortcomings. And by becoming very conscious, I purify them step by step. I become more godlike step by step. I approximate to salvation step by step, not running a sprint, but following a marathon of spirit. So salvation is to transcend your ego, to transcend yourself, to transcend the opponent. Also, salvation is a liberation of sin. And I have an episode that is titled What is to Sin or What is Sin or the Real Nature of Sin. Just search Mastermind Podcast Sin. And what is sin really? What is sin? Sin is doing something that you know that you are not supposed to do. That is, in a nutshell, what is to sin. And when you are in personal development, your standards become bigger, right? You're supposed to think bigger about your behavior, bigger about your values. And not only bigger, but also more profound, more expansive, with more insight. But also, when you are in personal development, you need to know you are going to sin greater. Because if your standard is bigger and you fail your standard, the gap between the standard and your reality is going to be bigger. You see. So to sin, when you have been working on yourself, spiritualizing your consciousness, becoming a better, more capable human being, is a more powerful degree of sinning as a person that, or in comparison to a person that do not value personal development. For a person that do not value personal development, if they miss 3 days in a row in the gym or in workouts, for them that is not even a sin. Who cares? They can come back next week. But for you, if you have been working on yourself very powerfully, you know that working out is a must. And for you, missing 3 days in a row, basically, this is the end of the world, dude, because you are a hypocrite. You are saying to the world that you are becoming a better human being and you cannot even work out. What a sin. You see, what a sin. It's not only a sin, it's a cosmic sin. Because sin is to fall in your own actualized standards, in your spiritual demands. That is really to sin. So, what is for me to sin maybe will not be for you to sin. And who is the judge? Who is to judge? Well, you judge you, I judge me. Our standards are the judge. Our demands, our expectations, our rules, our code, our character, our divine morality. And more on that, go to my episode titled Divine Morality is Based on Love. Very important episode to understand. So, to be really saved is to be free of sin. Basically, you have these supra-conscious cosmical standards and you don't fall short on them. Maybe sometimes here and there, but most of the time, you are perfect. Most of the time, you are holy. Most of the time, you are integrous. And I have an episode that is called Ultimate Integrity. Go and watch that one. When you are integrous, what you think, what you act, what you feel are one thing. There's no fragmentation on yourself. There is only wholeness. Wholeness is another word for salvation. To be saved is to be complete, to be whole again. You see? So if you are not whole, you are not integrous, you are not following your code, you are not following your spiritual aims, dude, well, you are sinning. And who is responsible? Obviously, your ego. Your ego is the one that is always tempting you to sin. Hey, man, skip the workout today. Go and watch Netflix today. Who cares? Who's going to know? Right? Right? Oh, you can forget about reading books today. I know that you said that you're going to read one spiritual book every day, but today you can go and watch NBA. Yeah. NBA. Go and watch Stephen Curry hit some basket, baby. And you're like, oh, what I do, what I do. Well, watching NBA that day, maybe that's for you to sin. You see? So to be saved is to liberate your sin habits. Also, salvation is escaping your self created hell. And the key word here is self created. Because also, hell, exactly as heaven, is not a place, it's a state of consciousness. You can be living in hell right now. Also, you can be in heaven right now. So you can go to my podcast titled "The Real Nature of Hell" for more on this. But if you are suffering unnecessarily, if you are perpetuating your suffering, your pain, your deception, your lies, your manipulation, you are in hell. You are living in hell already. You don't need to wait to die physically to go to hell. Dude, your life is your hell. So to be saved is the contrary of living in hell. To be saved is understanding I am creating my hell. I am creating my circumstances. I am creating my reality. Well, if I am the creator, if I am God, if I am everything, let me create then a paradise. Dude, why not? And of course, it is not that easy. Of course, you cannot say, okay, I will create a paradise. Voila, look, Derek, now I have a job. I have the girl of my dreams, blah, blah. No, to create a paradise is just want to create it metaphysically with your power of projection, attraction, manifestation, elaboration, engineering of reality. This is only the first step, but also with actions, discipline, vision, leadership, productivity, strategy, intelligence, consistency, persistence in the face of failure. That is the part where most people say, oh, now forget about it. I just prefer to live in hell. Of course, because sometimes suffering in your hell, in your self-created hell, is easier than to sacrifice for your self-created heaven. Heaven is not easy. You need to gain heaven. You need to prove yourself worthy. You need to prove your faith worthy to gain heaven. And also, heaven is not eternal. You can be in heaven a couple of days and then come back to hell. So if you go to a spiritual retreat, a meditation retreat, a Christian retreat, or you go to a natural place, maybe a mountains, maybe 3 days, maybe 1 week, you will notice quickly, oh my God, I'm in heaven. Because your state of consciousness will rise, your vibration will rise, and then you are in heaven. But then you come back to your life, you don't integrate the insights that you had in your spiritual retreat, you go back to your nature, you go back to your habits, your old habits, you go back to your normal life, and then you are in hell again. Merry Christmas. It's your fault, man. Every time that you go to heaven is to bring back a treasure of wisdom, a scroll that can give you instructions on how basically you can perpetuate forever heaven in your consciousness. That's why I teach you in my course of sex mastery. Every time you can go that for that on derekisrael.com in that course, for that course. Every time that you go to orgasm in sex, every time that you are orgasm, dude, bring back wisdom. Most people only focus on the pleasure. Bring back wisdom from the orgasm, because orgasm is heaven in a blink. It's like, ping, I showed you heaven and you are back again. But if you can grasp the substance of the orgasm, the fabric, not the orgasm itself, not the sensation, not the feeling, not the sensuality of it, not the pleasure, but the fabric, not even the mechanism, the spirit of the orgasm itself. And you can implement that orgasm not only in sexual conduct or sexuality, but in your lifestyle, dude, you're gonna be perpetuating heaven. And obviously, this is not a very easy thing to do. It takes practice and practice and practice and practice. I call this sexual magic. Go to my sex mastery course. The link is on the description. Also, salvation is to purify your soul. To purify your soul. In Jungian terms, to purify your anima, to purify your emotions, to purify your affect, your emotional intelligence. How do you feel every day? Your mood. The contrary state of being saved is to be emotionally slaved. If you're a slave of your emotions, if your emotions have control over you, you're not saved. And don't get me wrong, dude, most people, when they start in personal development, their first 5 to 10 years is only working on emotions, only on this part. Because a lot of people that are drawn or interested or attracted to personal development content, they come because they are looking to master their emotions. They are not looking for intellectual games. They are not looking to die spiritually and to be reborn. They are not looking to transcend their ego. They like what they are. They like their attachments. They like their pizza. They like their sex. They're like everything, but they don't like that their emotions are unregulated. They don't like that they don't feel stable emotionally, and that's why this content feels appealing to them. And they start to realizing, well, maybe this type of lifestyle, the personal development lifestyle, maybe this is something that I should pursue. And they recontextualize their values and they start a lifelong journey. But the primordial reason, it was because they needed to sophisticate their emotions. And if that is your case, as is probably is, understand 5 to 10 years of continuous work is what I have in my experience and a lot of others' experience realized is the time for you to master this part, at least the basis of it. So that's why I will be shooting an episode this week that is called Relax. Personal development comes with maturity, Why? because myself and also my students, sometimes we get desperate for results in this work and we forget that this is a lifelong work, and sometimes it's slow, but you can see the effects. Just look at yourself last year and you will see, damn, I have grown a lot. But if you compare to yourself yesterday, you will see no difference because it's a slow thing. Even evolution, dude, evolution is a slow process. So that's why to cultivate persistence is so critical. Patience, equanimity is so imperative in this work. Also, salvation is to live in Christ consciousness and to operate in God mode. Now, this is very important. I have an episode that is titled How to Develop Christ Consciousness. Go and hear that one out. It will change the infrastructure of your assistance. And also, I have another episode that I believe is my favorite one in the whole podcast, or maybe not the whole podcast, but at least in the challenge. It is called How to Operate in God Mode. And these episodes are very related to each other. But basically, the Christ consciousness is to act and to live like Christ, to live in love, to live in compassion, to live in heaven right now, to live willing to die as an ego and to be reborn as a God every day of your life, to live in the desert, to transform suffering into spiritual insight and wisdom. You know, everything that Christ represents, not the human, but the archetype, the energy, the consciousness. And to live that, to download Christ consciousness and to install that in your mental software, that is to be saved. And to obviously operate that in your RAM, in your hardware, right? Also, to operate in God mode basically is to operate as God, as the creator, integrating all the opposites in one thing, in one perfect balance, understanding that you are everything and nothing, taking the responsibility of creating your whole cosmos, your whole multiverse, your whole destiny, having the absolute power, but using that power with love and responsibility, not with ego. It's a tough thing to be a god, right? It would be easier if really you was only a human. Because then you can say, okay, man, I live this life because God, He just want me to live this life. That is easy. Right? In psychology, we call this, that is the external locus of control. You are externalizing responsibility. But what is not easy is to understand and realize that you are creating this whole stuff, that you are the fabric of your reality, and that you better soon wake up if you want to change things around, baby. If you want to direct your life better. I will recommend you a movie that I saw a couple of months ago that can illustrate pretty good what is to be a god and what is to create and to materialize and to bend reality with your will. And obviously, in a movie, they do this instantly. In real life, it's not instantly. You change reality in a kairos time. I mean by that, that the time is not instant, but it's more synchronistical. So if you want more information about that, I have an episode that is called The Real Nature of Events. Go to that episode, Mastermind Podcast Events, and there you will find more about it. So it's slower in real life, but that movie, they portray this phenomena, this right of you to bend reality because you are reality, so you can bend what you are. They portray this very good, very artistic. And the movie is called Dark City. I think the year is 1988, something like that. So it's an old movie, but it's a good movie. Dark City. Watch it and let me know in the comments. Come back and let me hear your opinion. So the last point before we go to the secrets is that salvation is to live forever in heaven and in paradise. And we all know that, right? But heaven and paradise is here and now. And I have a very short episode. It's a very short one. I think it's only 2 minutes long. And it is called Here and Now. Be here and now. Watch it. It's a shortcast. Be here and now shortcast. Derek Israel for this idea. And also, I recommend you a book for this idea that is called Be Here and Now from Ram Dass, the guru and psychologist. Be Here Now, one of the most amazing books that you will read in your entire life. So, if you can be absolute present, absolutely focused and concentrated, you are in heaven. If you can be one with love, you are in heaven. If you can be one with compassion, beauty, art, you are in heaven. If you can be absolutely conscious, just conscious, supra conscious of everything, you are in heaven. Every time that you get distracted, every time that you lose yourself in thought, every time that you lose yourself in your ego demands, in your obsessions, in your neurotics, in your whatever, the list is infinite. You go to hell. You go to hell, you live in hell, you create your hell. So to be on heaven is the art to be here and now. 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 Just practice with me. Try to just be here and now, this for these seconds, and go with me to heaven. Come to heaven. Welcome. This is heaven. Just be here. Feel everything here. See every detail. Savor everything. Smell everything. Wow. See the miraculous. See how sublime this present eternal moment is. Welcome to heaven. Now you will come back to hell. Now go back to hell. Start thinking, laugh, stretch, take a sip of your Coca-Cola. Go back to your life. Go back to hell. You see? And you are always in that dance. It's a cosmic dance between heaven and hell, heaven and hell, heaven and hell. Well, to be saved is to stop the dance and to stay in heaven, to stay here, to stay now. And of course, it's a practice, it's a muscle. It's the muscle of presence. Before we go to the secrets, I just want you to reflect a little bit on what have you learned here in this episode. And just think for a while about what is salvation now for you. And notice how this concept of salvation has stretched and expanded so much now for you. Now you can read about it and you will have context. You will have knowledge. Of course, your duty is to transform this knowledge in wisdom. How you do that? Well, you experience the knowledge. You turn this knowledge into a direct experience. And for that, I cannot help you. I just can guide you. You need to walk the path. You're not a baby anymore. You're a man, you're a woman. You need to do it by yourself. But just appreciate how powerful is to understand a thing deeply. And this is the beauty of personal development and to watch this type of podcast. And I really believe that this is the most transformative podcast in the multiverse, because what I am doing here with you is to navigating in the profundity of these virtues, of these patterns, divine patterns, such as consciousness, love, spirit, salvation, sexual mastery, life purpose, whatever it is I'm discussing that day. And the whole point is that you will have so much deepness, so much context, that one day, I hope, this will transform your life deeply. So deeply that you will not be able to recognize you anymore because you died. You are a new creature. And for more on that, go to my episode titled, a very important episode titled, How to Become a New Creature. So now let's go to the secrets of how to be safe. I will not spend a lot of time in them. I just will tell you a little bit about them, but most of them, they are kind of obvious and you can do your extra research on them. And also I have a couple of episodes about them, but I cannot go really in depth because I don't have, you know, it's gonna be too long the episode, and I don't think that is necessary. So the first the first secret to be saved is that it is your responsibility to be saved. Own it. Own it. It is not Derek Israel's responsibility to save you. It is not the church leader responsibility. It is not the Pope. It is not the guru. It's not the shaman. It is not Christ. It is yourself. Dude, yourself. You need to assume cosmic responsibility on this. No one will do it for you. If you don't do it, you will die without being saved. Merry Christmas. No one will care. That's the reality of it. That is the rawness of life. So own your responsibility. The second point, practice all the tools that you can. All the tools, all the methods. Do not discriminate. I always tell you, go study hard on this, man. You will find so many techniques. I have 612 techniques, some on Spanish, some on English. But go and watch other podcasts about spirituality, about personal development, about self actualization. Read books about it, watch videos, go to seminars, practice every technique. See what works for you, see what do not works for you, and just do more what works. Easy. But if you are cherry picking. Oh, this technique, yeah. Oh, this technique, no. This technique, yeah. This technique, no. How the hell you will know? If you encounter a technique, a practice, maybe intermittent fasting, maybe Qigong, maybe Tai Chi, maybe acupuncture, maybe whatever. The list is infinite. Go and do it. Open minded, like a flower to receive. To receive. What technique I suggest to practice? Go to my episode titled Movies Are the New Church and practice the technique I showed you there. It's a very, very simple practice that may change your life. The other secret is that you need to continuously modify your archetypal constellation. I have a reproduction list of archetypes. The link is in the description, or you can go to my YouTube channel, look for the reproduction lists, and go to the archetype one. There you can find all the episodes about archetypes. It's a long story, but archetypes are energies that you can activate in your mind. The God archetype, the king, the queen, the witch, the magician, the warrior, the lover, the list goes on and on and on. How those archetypes relate in your mind, in your psychomatology, we call that a constellation of archetypes. And I will do an episode very soon about constellations of archetypes, so stay tuned. So you need to accommodate your constellations of archetypes in a way that you can be maintained in heaven and saved. Because, for example, if your shadow is an archetype, assume the top of the hierarchy in the constellation, well, you are go back to hell. That's it. Because your shadow is unconscious. Your shadow is the thing that wants you to become a devil. So you go back to hell. So you need to have the archetypal constellation in a morphology, in a structure that the shadow is being used, but you are not dominated by the shadow. So that's a complex idea. Go to the archetypes reproduction list, study the subject deeply. Google Jungian archetypes, study that deeply for yourself as well. And you will find so much spirit doing this. Also, focus on the breath. The breath is the link with presence. Specifically the space between two breaths. That space is eternity. If you focus on that consciously as a practice, you will reach salvation. If you want more information about that, I have two books for you. One, it is called it is called The Power of Now of how do you pronounce that name in English? Eckhart Tolle. And the second one, it is called The Book of Secrets of Osho. Osho is the author. Read those books. You will become very present after that. Another secret is to pray. This is very common, but to pray with your whole soul. I have an episode that I recommend you. It is called The Prayer Action Spectrum. And in that episode, I teach you the ultimate secrets of prayer. I have another secret that I will be disclosing very soon, and I call it to be on war with God. But yeah, I think in that episode that I already shooted, you will have a lot of wisdom and context to how to pray, on how to pray ferociously. So you need to pray a lot to be saved. You see, it is not only a metaphor in the Bible that asks you to pray. By praying, you purify your soul, you purify your spirit, you re-engineer the metaphysics of your life. So pray deeply. Also understand that your body is the cosmic body. So, and I will do an episode very soon about what is the cosmic body. But what I mean by this is that your body is the temple in which you can be saved. If you deny the body, you're not saved because your spirit is the body. The spirit is flesh. There's no dualism here, folks. There is no mind matter. It's mind matter. You see, it's not two words. It's not mind space matter. No, it's mind matter. One word. So change it in your language, change it in your experience, change it in your salvation. Also, you need to understand that you need to surrender to God. If you want to know how to do this, read the Quran. The Quran teaches you how to live in surrenderness as a slave of God, as a slave of your maximum potential. That is what is God, your maximum potential. So if you live in surrenderness to that, as a slave to that, you will be saved. Also, you need to be loved. Not to love, to be loved. There's no I there. There is no me there. There is no one that is loving, only love. And if you want more information about that, I have an episode about it. I don't know how I titled. Man, just search Mastermind Podcast Love. Let's see if something appears, but I'm pretty sure that I did one. Also, you need to compassionate your multiverse. You need to make your multiverse, your cosmos, your existence, compassion. That's it. You need to transform every particle of your reality into a compassion particle. I have an episode that is called Compassionate Your Multiverse. Go and watch that one for this technique. Also, you need to use sex as a divine tool for salvation. I already discussed a little bit about this. I have a whole course about this. But yeah, definitely sex is not something that you will use only for pleasure. You will use it also for salvation. You can be saved through sex. That is the whole teaching of Tantra. Study Tantra for more on that. Also, be faith. Be faith. I'm not asking you to have faith. I'm asking you to be faith. If you cannot have faith in this process, you will get nowhere because it's a difficult process and you need patience and you need faith. You need to believe what you cannot see. This is the cost of liberty. This is the cost of freedom. You need to believe it before you are that. Simple as that. Also, live as creativity. I have an episode that is called Be Creativity, Shortcast. Be Creativity, Shortcast. Watch it. It's a very short one. But yeah, when you are living creatively, you are safe, man, because you are in heaven. You are in a state of consciousness of absolute love, absolute integration, absolute flow. You are one with God. You are creating. You are in heaven. You are saved. So create every day. Create, create, create. Also, walk your own path. This is very important. Don't subscribe to only one path, to the Derek Israel path, to the Osho's path, to the Buddha's path, to whatever. You know, create your own path, create your own destiny, create your own biography. Use me as a tool. Use Christ as a tool. Use, I don't know who, Sadhguru as a tool. But we do not have all your answers. Only you will find them. And the final secret to be saved is that you need to become the self archetype. I will do an episode on the future about this, the self with capital S. And this is basically that you need to become everything and at the same time, nothing spiritually. So you need to transcend all the archetypes. You need to transcend all your ideas. You need to transcend all your beliefs. And of course, doing meditation, practicing meditation, yoga, pranayama, respirations, presence, epistemology, contemplation. the construction of your mind, inner engineering, all of those techniques in the same time and more, you will be able to achieve this self state, this God mode state. But it will take time. But I will be here with you, guiding you in the process. So thank you. I really hope that this episode opened your mind on what is to be saved. Please leave a comment if you have something to add. I'm pretty sure that you have something to add. So please write that and I will be answering to you. Share this with a friend, share this in the social media. Believe me, every share help this content to get across and to impact more life. Also donate on Patreon. Um, the link is in the description. When you are donating in Patreon, maybe you can only donate $5 per month. That is enough. When you are donating in Patreon, you are making sure that this podcast stay free and we can help more people with your donation and you're supporting my work. So thank you. The link is on the description. Also, I have a Telegram group with like-minded people that are very cool, personal development people. You can join for free. So go to the link in the description. Also in derekisrael.com, you can find all the courses that I have for you. One of my, every course that I have is so powerful, man, that your life will change. It doesn't matter which one you take. Just take one and you will see for yourself. Like I have the self-love one. I have the meditation one. I have the hyper productivity, the integrity one. I have the sexual mastery, the life purpose one. Just take one and you will see how much you will grow is going to be ridiculous. You will never be the same person. Every course is in derekisrael.com. Also, there you will find my booking services. You can book me as your coach if you want individualized coaching with me to transform your life one on one. You can hire me as your spiritual guru if you have spiritual problems that you want to transcend with me. And also, I can be your psychologist if you live in Puerto Rico. And if you want to treat some condition of yours, depression, anxiety, or a psychological thing that you may be to work on, I can help you with that. Also, we'll be producing very soon merchandise on this brand. So I hope that you will like the product. And also, I will be publishing a lot of books very soon. So everything will be on derekisrael.com. Visit the store, and I see you